Hey, I'm John Cannell, and today on Preppy Kitchen, we're making a festive, delicious Funfetti cake. So let's get started. First off, preheat your oven to 350 so it's nice and hot, and now in a large bowl, we're gonna get all the dry ingredients together. Start off with 3 3/4 cups all-purpose flour, that's 450 grams. The best way is gonna be to use a scale. If you use too much flour, your cake will be dry and bready. I'm using all-purpose flour today because that is kind of what everybody has on hand, and this is not a fancy cake. This is an easy cake that has sprinkles in it. It looks really pretty, it's perfect for birthdays, and it's delicious. If you want to, you could use cake flour instead. Just make sure it's the same number of grams. The cup size is different. There's also a blog post for a cake flour substitute using all-purpose flour and cornstarch, if you're curious. To puff things up, 2½ teaspoons of baking powder. 1, 2, and a half. For contrast, 1 teaspoon of salt. If you're using a superfine salt, I'd go down to 3/4 because that will have more salt in a teaspoon. Right now we're gonna grab a whisk. Scale is done. And we're gonna whisk this up really well. Very important to distribute that leavening agent and the salt. And by the way, sifting it is a totally optional step. You don't have to do that, but I think it's preferable. Set this aside, and now it's time for our stand mixer. Fitted with a paddle attachment or a big bowl if you're using a hand mixer, we're gonna add 1 cup or 226 grams of soft, unsalted butter. It's room temperature, but here my finger will really easily indent into it. I don't wanna say room temperature because if you're making this on a cold day or if the AC is up, your butter might be too hard. And you want your butter to incorporate really well, especially when we add the eggs in. To sweeten and soften the cake, 2 1/3 cups of granulated sugar, 2 1/3. That's 466 grams. And yes, the sugar will sweeten your cake. It's also gonna soften the cake so it has a lovely soft crumb. Chances are your cake's gonna be living in the fridge, especially the leftovers, and it's not gonna be warm out of the oven. That means that the butter will be hard and the cake's not gonna be as pleasant to eat. It's not gonna be as soft. 1/3 of a cup of veggie oil is gonna fix that. It'll give us a lovely soft consistency, even if it's coming out of the fridge. Pop your paddle attachment on, and we're gonna cream this on medium for about 3 minutes. It'll be a beautiful consistency, which I'll show you soon. So Funfetti Cake really comes from box mixes. That's the whole origin of it. I think Pillsbury was the one that had a white, like an angel food cake mix with sprinkles in the 50s. Funfetti Cake came out later on in like 1989, and it became really popular because it's just festive, it's pretty, it's an easy cake to make, and it's perfect for birthday parties. This is a white cake, so we're not gonna use the yolks. That would make it a yellow cake. I'm separating out 7 egg whites for this cake while that mixes up. Do not throw the yolks away. I'd make a flan, but you could use them for a crumb pâtissière, French buttercream, the list goes on. 5. Before we add the eggs in, let's scrape the bowl down. Ooh, this looks so lovely. Look at this consistency. It's like a sweet butter cloud. It's time to add our egg whites in, so back to medium speed, and we're gonna add them in 3 additions. This is a lot of liquid to be adding to our butter, and I just wanna make sure it incorporates really nicely. So let it mix away. Add the next addition in. Mixa, mixa, mixa. And the center looks kind of soupy, so I'm gonna scrape the bowl down. If your butter was too cold at this stage, you'd have little nodules all around. Your cake is still gonna be okay, but it's not the optimal consistency. No one will know though once the flour goes in. Just you and I. And the final addition of our 7 egg whites. Such a lovely color. I'm gonna darken it with some vanilla, but it's worth it. 1 tablespoon, please. It smells so good. This cake is almost done. I am shocked by how beautiful the consistency of this batter is so far. It's perfect. 1 1/3 cups of buttermilk is gonna do two things. Give some hydration, but the buttermilk is a weak acid and that's going to give you a more tender cake. The crumb is gonna be even better because acid inhibits the formation of gluten, or the connections. On the lowest setting, we're gonna add the flour in 3 additions, alternating with our room temperature buttermilk. So that's 1/3, half of your buttermilk, another 1/3 of your flour mixture, the remaining buttermilk goes in, and the remaining flour. I'm stopping this before it's done mixing. There's still flour all over the place, but I'm gonna finish this by hand. There's 2 main culprits in bad cakes at home. There's 3 main culprits. First one would be a bad recipe. This is a good recipe though. The second one would be adding too much flour because you're scooping it up instead of using a scale, or you're not scooping it properly. You should be sprinkling the flour in after you've fluffed it up and then leveling it off. Never compact it because that'll put too much in there. But the third one is overmixing your batter. If you overmix it, even if everything else was perfect, your cake is gonna be gummy, it'll be dense. And even though the ingredients are the same, it's not gonna taste the same because of the way it's dissolving on your tongue. So that's a long way of saying, just finish it off by hand, scrape the bottom of the bowl, get rid of any lumps of flour you see, any streaks. Once that happens, spatula down, you are done. What's missing from my cake, you ask? The fun. So the funfetti comes from sprinkles. Most sprinkles will work in this cake. Rainbow jimmies are my favorite. Perfect size, they don't dissolve and muddy the cake up. Nonpareils will just melt the second you put them in, so avoid those. And by the way, you could make your sprinkles at home. I have a blog post and a YouTube video on that. 2/3 of a cup goes right into the cake batter, and we're just gonna fold that in. Wow, look at that, so festive and cheerful. And by the way, if you want, making the sprinkles at home is actually really easy and very fun, especially if you have kids around. You can make the different colors with whatever you want. You don't have to use food coloring. You could use blue spirulina for the blue. You could use beet powder for pink, like turmeric for the yellow, and have them be totally natural, if you want. Now we're gonna pop these into 3 8-inch pans. I greased them. There's a parchment round on the bottom, and the parchment will just give you the perfect release. Nothing is gonna stick. It's like your insurance policy. I'm using my scale. I really wanna be sure about what's what. 993, 988, 992. Grab an offset spatula, we're gonna smooth this out. And by the way, let's say you don't have a scale or you don't feel like using it, and one layer is like noticeably thicker than the other ones, that's the bottom layer. Because in a 3-layer cake, the bottom one has the most on top of it and it compresses. To get the best bake with nice, beautiful flat layers and a soft side that's not hard and crunchy, I'm using cake strips. These are just fabric strips that have been dipped in water and then wrung out so they're damp. They insulate the edge so that everything bakes evenly and you get a perfect flat layer. You can also get a fluffier, taller cake from them. These guys are ready to go into the oven, 350 for 32 to 38 minutes. You can rotate the pans if your oven has a hot spot, but they'll be done when they're springy in the center, skewer comes out clean, and you will probably see the edge pulling away from the pan. In you go. My cake layers have baked, they look beautiful, and they are nice and room temperature. So now grab 1 pound of unsalted butter, 450 grams, and this should be nice and soft. You should be able to make an indent into it fairly easily. Pop that into your mixer, along with half a teaspoon of salt. And honestly, if you have salted butter at home, you could just use salted butter and skip the added salt. Pop that on medium speed for about 2 minutes until it's soft, silky, smooth, and the salt's been distributed. Once your butter is nice and creamy, it's time to add the powdered sugar. You want about 7 cups or 2 pounds, 900 grams. This, however, is a to taste situation. So at 6 cups, you might want to give it a taste, see if you like it, and as long as it's firm enough, you're good to go. Mix this on low right now. You don't want to pump that much air into this because then your frosting will have a weird frothy consistency. We're also going to add 3 to 4 tablespoons of heavy cream as needed. The cream is going to give you a silkier, slacker consistency. So after your second cup, take a look, add a tablespoon. Number 4, a little more cream. If the frosting is clinging to your paddle, like it is here and it's not really moving, just 1 second on high to shake it off and then back to low. 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract will give us so much lovely flavor. And once that's in, we're gonna increase speed to medium and beat for a minute or 2 until it's fluffy and beautiful. Look at this beautiful frosting. It is so smooth. It's really nice too. It's like a cloud, a sweet cloud. Our cake is ready to assemble now. Grab a triggered scoop, a bench scraper if you have one, an offset spatula, grab a cake plate and pop your first layer down. Grab maybe half a cup or so of frosting. Spread it out into a thin layer and plop your next layer on top. More frosting. You can see why this is the perfect birthday cake. It looks so cheerful already. Just wait until we finish. Add that final layer on top. It's time to completely cover our cake in frosting, but I want some beautiful dollops on the top. So if you're doing that, get a large piping bag, your favorite star piping tip. This is like an 869. It's a large open star tip. And we're gonna add about a cup of frosting in there. That's more than enough. Okay. That's saved for later. Let's transfer this frosting all over the cake, so smooth it out into a thin layer. This cake is gonna go really fast, but it'll last 3 days at room temperature. Just make sure it's nice and covered. 5 days in the fridge, again covered, and up to 3 months in the freezer. Just make sure that's very well wrapped. When you're smoothing the cake out, don't try and make it look perfect right away. Take your time, distribute the frosting all over, and then you can give it a smooth. Get it to be pretty good because we'll have sprinkles, we'll have dollops. You're not gonna notice any little imperfections. This should be like a zen moment for you, not a stressor. It's time for the bench scraper, so let's give this a good smooth. If you see any little holes, you can fill them in. Our last bit of smoothing is just to pull the edge in, so have a nice clean offset and pull in as you move. The cake's gonna get a skirt of Jimmy sprinkles on the bottom third. Just press them in and scoot. And as I've been building this, I've been thinking, the original Funfetti cake I had, I love it. And it had a soft pink drip on top. Originally, I was like, you know what, we can just skip the drip, but I missed it too much. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. It's an optional step, but I love the way it looks. So once your sprinkles are on, you can place a couple up high. It creates the idea of like a gradient, so it's not just like a heavy line across your cake. So this looks nice. I'm gonna set this aside now and talk about the drip. So in the medium bowl, I'm combining 1 cup of candy melts. This is not chocolate, but it melts really easily. 1/4 cup of white chocolate chips. This is chocolate, it has cocoa butter in it, but it's more finicky. And I have 6 tablespoons of cream here. I'm gonna add in almost all of that. Just reserve a little bit. Grab some pink food coloring. This is gel food coloring, which I really like using. Just add a little bit into your cream. Pink cream in hand, we're gonna combine this. This will get microwaved for 20-second bursts at half power, stirring in between until it's basically smooth. You can have some lumps and just keep stirring. Don't try and overheat this. Getting rid of some of the excess sprinkles on my skirt, back into the bowl as much as I can. Everything got melted. There were still some tiny little lumps that bothered me. I just passed it through a sieve into a new cool glass container. I let this cool down so it's nice and thick now, not too runny, fingers crossed. We're gonna pour some over the top. I think less is more here. If I add too much, it'll all just fall down. Use an offset to just smooth it out towards the edge. Then we can add some more as needed. Work this just to the edge, and then cooks little drips out. Just get them started and they'll continue. Don't worry about making an actual drip. Looks pretty nice. They'll drip down more, it's totally fine. I'm popping this into the fridge to cool down and stop the dripping, and then we'll put dollops on. I am so torn. This set, and it looks pretty for you on this camera right now, but if you come up close, it got really wrinkly. It's because I used a little bit too much cream. So if you want to try your own drip out, 3 to 4 tablespoons of cream, adding more as needed. This wrinkle is unacceptable to me, so I will be removing this and going plain. Very sad. So sad about this. Finish your cake off with some beautiful dollops. Squeeze, and then pull up once you've stopped squeezing. You can enjoy your cake now or let it set in the fridge for a bit so it's easier to cut, but either way, it's ready to enjoy. Super soft, melt in your mouth, lovely kisses of vanilla, and that frosting is so creamy and amazing. I hope you get a chance to make this delicious recipe, and if you like my videos, hit that subscribe button and check out my cake playlist.